Well, hello, and welcome back to another episode of From Behind My Chair. If you are one of my returning subscribers, you guys know I heart you guys so much. Thank you guys for being so awesome and loyal. I appreciate you guys, and you guys know that you guys are the reason why I come back here every week to deliver my stories because you guys like my stories and I like to tell my stories. So here we are. Also, I want to address anybody new to this channel. For those of you who are new, I don't know how you found me, but you did. And I'm glad you did. So if you guys stick around, you're going to hear stories. Yeah, I tell stories. By the way, my name is Syndie. I'm a hairstylist. I have over 40 years in the beauty industry, and I tell stories of my time in the beauty industry. Yep, I'm here every week telling these stories, just like today. So if you like the content that I put out there, maybe you consider being one of my future subscribers. Yes. And also for those of you who watch my videos, but you're not a subscriber, maybe you consider being one of my subscribers too. I heart you guys for it. Okay, guys, with that said, how about we segue into story time? I have a doozy today. I mean, this story is like, ah, okay. Yesterday, I'm cleaning house. And usually when I clean house, I got some sort of noise, like either it's music or it's the TV. And the TV was on and it was Dateline. And I'm like hearing the story unfold. And as it's unfolding, I remember this story. Why? Because I lived it. It happened in this town. Yeah, it happened here in this town. So I'm going to tell you my version of like what I can recall from this story because if you want to really watch this story, it was on Dateline and it's the Michael Daly and I believe her name was Sherry Daly story. So and also I want to say, you know, all my stories are true, but this is one story that you can definitely true. You can totally look it up. But all my stories are true, which you can't really check them out. Maybe you can somewhat, but really, it's just these are just from my recollection, and they're not all sensational, exciting. They're not all like fireworks and explosions and whatever. But this is one story that you can definitely go back and check it out. So I might not tell it exactly how a news journalist will, but this is from what when I lived and I experienced from this story in my town. This is my version. So here I go. This is mid 90s. I'm working at a family salon, and that means that we cut kids' hair because usually I do not cut kids' hair, but back then I did. There was a mom that came in with her two boys. Um, she got her hair done in our shop. I didn't do her hair. My coworker did her hair, but I would sometimes do one of the boys' cuts. She would come in quite often, like I don't know, like every 6 weeks or so. Super nice lady. We'd make small talk. She was very friendly, just lovely, lovely lady. So one day I get home from work and it's all over the news. This woman is missing. Yeah, she's missing from our little town. She went to our local Target, and that's the last time she was seen. They're reviewing all this footage. They see her shopping in Target, and then she's gone. So this is like a big deal. We're like all like at work, we're all like comparing notes about stories and stuff. And then one of my coworkers says something about her husband, which I had never seen her husband before, but apparently her husband would come into our shop to get his hair done as well. And she's like, "You know him, Syndie?" I'm like, I don't know. I don't recall her ever coming in with a man. I remember her coming in with her boys. So apparently he would come in alone, and he was kind of a flirty guy. He came in and he flirted with all the girls, and he was always had this big old cheesy smile. He was very smug and very confident. Just really, really thick, coarse hair. And I did not cut his hair, thank goodness, because my coworker cut his hair. But he didn't miss an opportunity to flirt with whoever's passing by or whatever. So I guess at points we did make a little bit of small talk and stuff, but so the wife's missing. I know who the husband is, and then there's talk about a mistress. So soon after, dun dun dun, they arrest his mistress. Or I guess she impersonated a police officer or a detective, and she arrested the wife at Target in the parking lot. And that's the last they have seen of the wife. So at this point, everybody's searching for her. Like everyone's looking for her. And as time goes on, it seems as though they're not going to find her alive. So about a month or so pass, and they find the body, which ironically is about 2 miles from where I live at that point. This makes it even creepier to me. So they recover the body, and she was murdered. So they tie it to the mistress. The mistress is now being held for murder, and they're trying to tie the husband to it, but they can't. There's not enough evidence. So in the meantime, this guy is all over our town, and he comes in and he brings his boys to get their haircut, which, by the way, like I said, he never did that before. And so, like, his wife, they just discovered her murdered, and he's like is like, hey, how's it going, guys? And I mean, like, wow, that smile was just like, that was a pretty, I mean, I don't think I could muster that kind of smile if one of my loved ones was found murdered and they didn't know what the heck happened. But yeah, so that happened. And I also have to say, because we're in a small town, um, we'd see him out and about. So, like this one day, my mother and I are out to breakfast at this breakfast house, and I'm just going to tell you, like, I think that back in those days, like those privacy glass that are at like restaurants, like that separate one booth from the next booth. I think that back in those days, those privacy glasses were like a little bit lower than what they are now, because as far as I can recollect, back in those days, that privacy glass didn't really cover a person's face. You could just look right over and you could see them, like they were like right there. Like almost if that glass wasn't right there, you could like touching their elbow or something. It's just like too close for comfort. So I'm at breakfast with my mother, and they seat this guy like right at our adjoining booth. Like with this privacy glass, it's not even really privacy because it's like right up here. I look over and I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? So I lean forward and I say, Mom, don't look to your left. But this guy, I think he murdered his wife. So do you know what my mom said? What? Where? What guy? What guy murdered his wife? Where? What guy murdered his wife? He clearly heard, which, who cares? The whole town thought he was guilty anyway, because he did have a mistress, and she was clearly involved. So it took a little while for them to be able to connect him to the murder. Long story short, they did. They're both up the river. They got life sentences. They're both in prison, both put away. So case is clear. It's all over. Thank goodness they're they found them. Yeah, they're gonna serve their time or spend the rest of their days there. But guys, that's my story. And like I tell you, like these stories are real. They're real, and they're this is my story from my recollection. But if you really want to hear the real story, like you can really go onto Dateline and you could watch that episode. And his name is Michael Daly, and his wife's name is Sherry Daly. Like I said, happened like mid 90s, and yeah, crazy. But that's my story. Thanks for hanging out. Um, what do you say you come back next week? I'll have another story for you guys. All right. Okay, guys, come back next week. Thanks for tuning in. Mwah, have a fabulous week. Thanks for kisses. Okay, bye.